All right, so now we're going to actually go through some products finally, and this is fun. Now I'm going to go through some products and give obviously my anecdotal advice and experience on, potentially sourcing products. Now, like I said, I'm not a guru, I'm not, a god or anything. I just simply know and understand Amazon. So this is just my opinions on these products. Don't, take everything with a grain of salt. If you're going through products and you see a product, that I might have potentially put down as something that wasn't viable, and you want to check it out because you want to potentially source it, go ahead and go for it. Like I said, I'm not a guru. I'm not, 100% special or anything. I'm just like you. I just happen to understand Amazon. I've been through the ringer. I understand this because I've been through the process before. So something to keep in mind. Go ahead and check out whatever products you want to check out. Just obviously keep in mind what I'm going to go ahead and teach you. So scrolling down, I don't want to source the first aids. We're going to keep going. This is a good example of something I don't want to source because it's breakable. Now, it's something to keep in mind. This drinking glass right here, regardless of if it has a good margin, and you'll see here that obviously, just to go through it really fast, obviously it tells you the category that it's in, so if it's restricted. Like I said, that will be attached to that last fourth lecture, as well as the FBA calculator. Now, the price, it will tell you what the price is selling at, what the fees are on that product, and what the net profit is. So it's important to keep the net profit in mind on each product, and the reason for that is because you want to obviously understand what you're potentially profiting after FBA fees, when you make a sale on Amazon. So in this case, it's $13.76. And that's important because you're obviously going to take what you're actually making, net profit wise, like here. And then you're obviously going to have to take whatever you paid for the shipping, whatever you paid to get it manufactured, to actually Amazon's facility. So that's important to keep in mind. Now, this is per product. So let's say, for example, if you sourced 500 products, whatever 500 times $13.76 is what your net profit would be, total per product if you sold them all at, $19.71. So it's just something to keep in mind. Now, like I said, so maybe you got them all sourced for like $500. So your net profit overall would be, $13.76 times 500, and whatever that is minus 500 because it cost you 500 to source them and get them into Amazon. That's something to keep in mind. So pay attention to the net product. Obviously, obviously it tells you the weight, how many reviews are on it, and what the rating is, its bestseller rank, and the amount of sellers that are actually on that potential listing. So this is a good example of something that I wouldn't want to source. Now, the reason that I wouldn't want to source this is not for the simple fact that it's not, it doesn't have potential, but for the simple fact that it's breakable. So something like we talked about, this might be while it is clearly potentially like a gift-ish glass, it's breakable, and so you might end up losing a couple of them or a bunch of them in shipment from overseas to Amazon, and you're definitely going to lose some in returns when people go and this is potentially damaged in shipment. Just something to keep in mind. I'm going to stay away from it, but like I said, if you followed everyone's similar parameters, everybody would be doing the same exact products. So if you want to go ahead and take something like this on, that's totally fine. Obviously, there's the drawbacks that I just kind of outlined, but on the upside, a lot of people are thinking that way, so there might not be a lot of people actually selling an item like this. Now, something I'm actually going to attach to the fifth lecture here. Now you have the Jungle Scout Chrome app, and obviously, or Chrome extension, and you have the web app, obviously. Two things that you're going to need to be doing this. Now, you're also going to want to get the Camelizer. Now, the Camelizer is Camel's web app. So Camel, and we'll just go there really fast. Camel.com is a site that will show you the price of Amazon products and how much they've found. So if I posted this URL into here, into Camel, this would tell me the potential price and how much it's dropped or gone up. So you'll see here that it's roughly been $19.71, but in around October 18th, it was a little bit lower. It's dropped a little bit so it's something to keep in mind. It goes up and goes down, but you do not need to go off the website. Actually, just simply download the Google Chrome extension called the Camelizer, and to do that, you just simply go to Google and you type in Google Chrome App Store, and then you simply download the Camelizer. It's 100% for free. So that's something that you're going to want to need. You're going to need the Camelizer, the Jungle Scout Chrome app, obviously, and then the web app. So let's go through a couple other products. Now, I don't want to source any dishes. That's just my personal opinion. And here we finally get to some products that might have potential. So this, the net profit here is $11.74. It's got relatively high fees at $7.03. But if I were going to check into this to see if I wanted to source it, I would obviously click it and take it to this page. 1 second. Needed a drink, so I my voice isn't as raspy. Excuse me. So I'm going to come down really fast, and the first thing you're going to want to pay attention to is obviously whether or not this listing is good. Does it have good pictures? Does it have good, bullets and numbering? Because these are things that you can control. When you relist a product, you can differentiate yourself from the competition by simply having a better listing. Now I'm going to scroll all the way down, and I'm going to check the product description as well. Those are two things you're going to be able to control. So the product description will be something you'll be able to control, and you're going to want to fill this through keywords. And when we do our listing optimization, I'm going to teach you how to do this stuff, as well as the bullet points and the product pictures. So those are all things that you can control and differentiate yourself with. This listing is actually pretty solid with the bullet points and the description, and it has, a multitude of pictures. Now, I see listings all the time with 1 or 2 pictures. You're going to want to take the investment and get good product pictures. So whether you got just, this will be in the listing optimization, obviously, but if you want to kind of hire a freelancer, relatively cheaply around you, if you know somebody with a good camera, take some good product shots, or you can obviously outsource to places like Fiverr. But the most important thing is the product pictures. So that's how you can differentiate yourself. But I kind of just want to touch on that. Obviously, this listing is a good example of a good listing that has a good title filled with keywords, good bullet points, good product pictures, and obviously a product description. So the very first thing that you're going to want to do is to see if you can actually potentially sell something like this. Is you're going to want to potentially rank for the broadest keyword. So I'm going to open up Amazon in another window, and we have to ask ourselves, what's the broadest keyword on this listing? It might be grill basket, right? Because number 1 best vegetable grill basket. Barbecue accessories for grilling veggies, blah, 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 blah. Maybe camping cookware would be another keyword that you might want to look out for. But I'm going to say that the broadest keyword, because you're going to want to find all the competitors on this potential product, is grill basket. So I'm going to simply copy grill basket, and I'm going to type it into the Amazon search bar to see what my competition looks like. And this very first page, ignore the first 2 sponsored ads. They're Amazon PPC or pay-per-click, so ignore those. Everything below the 2 sponsored ads, or sometimes it's 1 or sometimes it's a couple, everything below the sponsored ads are your competition. So this person ranks first. They're first. They're the very first product. And the higher you are on page 1, the more sales are associated with that spot. So this person has things that you're going to want to keep in mind are A, how many people are on the actual listing. So it looks like 1, 2, potentially 3, maybe 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's a bunch of people on this listing, and it keeps going and going on page 1. This is where you're shooting for, so this is really what you're paying attention to. So there's about 10 to 12 maybe potential competitors there. The next thing you're going to want to pay attention to is how many reviews they all have, because reviews aren't actually that hard to come by. It's something I can certainly help you out with in the review module, in that mini course. But you're not going to want to target anything, above. You're going to want to see a couple different products there that are ranking that are relatively low. So 98 reviews is actually not that high. It's pretty solid, but it's not that high. Something you could potentially target. So you could potentially target a 3rd spot here. 91 is not that high. Potentially target a 4th spot. 26 is not high at all. 28 is not high at all. You can definitely potentially, go ahead and target those too. So you can definitely rank on this product at first glance. Now, another thing that you're going to look for is, like I said, we touched on that first product, which is clearly this right here, the very first one. It looks like there's other people trying to compete with them. So, like, if you were going to target, potentially being able to get this slot, you're going to want to go ahead and look at this listing. And you're also going to want to go ahead and look at this listing. And you're also going to want to go ahead and look at this one and see if any of them are actually bad listings with bad pictures like we talked about. See, this one actually is solid. They have good bullets here, filled bullets with full of keywords. They have decent product pictures, it looks like, and they actually have a video on there. So that probably means they're like not a retailer. What's the word I'm looking for? Drawing a blank here. And the next thing you're going to look for is obviously, what their entire listing looks for. So this one looks pretty solid. We're going to go to the next one. This one has solid bullets as well, solid pictures as well, and I'm assuming that their description is pretty solid too. So this one's pretty solid with pictures and description and bullets. Yes. And finally, this one is the same thing. Yes. So all these listings on here are relatively good. So you'll notice that when you're doing some product research, and like I said, we're going to go through other examples, plenty examples, so don't worry about this. Just we kind of want to give you different examples of what to look for and how you can identify potential products. So all these listings are really good listings. Could you potentially source this product and rank it on page 1 and steal some sales velocity? Yes, you definitely could. But it's not ideal because there are definitely other better products out there. So if I was rating this on a 1 to 10, on 1 being absolutely horrible, do not source it, stay the hell away, and 10 being yes, 100,000% go for it, it's a home run, this might be like a 3, maybe a 4, because you can source it, you can probably make some money sourcing it and be profitable, but I guarantee you there are better products out there. So what I might do here is I might actually just simply go to Jungle Scout and I'll hit the plus button and just add it to the product tracker. And that way, while I'm searching for other things throughout the days and weeks, the product tracker will actually start tracking the products and the sales velocity on this to make sure that it's 100% legitimate, because you don't want to guess. That's why you bought Jungle Scout's, obviously the software. This will tell it to you. It's not going to tell it to you right away. It's going to have to run for a couple days, but you'll be able to see that obviously in a few days. So the next thing would be this grill light. Let's try this. And I've been noticing grill things are really big lately. Grill mats, grill this, grill that. There's a bunch of grill things. This has a good listing with good pictures, good bullet points. It's got a decent product description filled with keywords. It is ranked really low, almost in the top 100. So I guarantee you this is selling a lot. And it's got almost 600 reviews. Yeah, so they're making almost $64,000 just on this listing because they're so high ranked. So you can imagine the scalability and potential here if you can get a product that's on page 1. So what we're going to do here, same thing as before, we're going to go for the highest, the broadest potential keyword, which would be grill light. So I'm going to go to Amazon. I'm going to type in grill light and see what pops up, see what my competition looks like. Because, like I said, you're not just competing with this person. That's something to keep in mind. When you go through a thing on Jungle Scout and you find a product, this is running the software to see what products actually have, the numbers you're looking for, so you can identify them. But the next thing that you're going to want to do is take the broadest keyword on that, and then you're going to want to look at the entirety of the competition. So obviously we're skipping the sponsored ads here, down to here. This is the very first one that's ranked. And then we want to look at the entirety of the competition on grill lights, because we're competing with everybody. We're not just competing with that one person. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. So the first person looks like another thing that I forgot to tell you too. When you're going down, you're obviously looking at, you're going to want to check out the listings and their bullet points, their descriptions, and the pictures like we talked about. You're going to want to pay attention to the reviews and whether or not you feel like you can get that higher reviews. So this one's on the first page with 15 reviews. That's definitely targetable. The other thing that I forgot to mention that you're going to want to pay attention to is what are they all selling at? What price? So this first one is $41.99, but you don't want to sell yours at $41.99. The rest of them are pretty much selling at $34.99, $17.89, $24.99, $29.50. This one's $15.99. So you're going to want to keep that in mind and take that into consideration when you're pricing your product. So that's important to kind of understand, because you're not going to want to sell yours for 40. You're not going to want to sell yours for 30. You're probably going to want to sell yours close to 20, maybe to start, especially when you're starting out. And then once you get some sales velocity, you can kind of raise it up to 25, maybe 29. But that's just something to keep in mind. See, this person's selling at 27. You're going to want to, when you first launch your product, your price is going to be a little bit lower so that you can take some sales out of that marketplace and get your product ranked faster. As you grow and you kind of go up the listings, you can slowly raise your price. But like I said, it's important to understand what everybody's selling at so that you can obviously factor that into what you choose to sell yours at. That will obviously help you kind of determine what you can actually make, how much you can get, how much you're willing to spend to get your product sourced. And those are all different courses and different modules, like I said, after this. But just think ahead. I kind of wanted to touch on that for you. So this looks like it's pretty competitive as well. 587, 90 is not that hard to rank against at 1789. 147 is not that hard to rank against. It's a little bit high, but not difficult. 15 is definitely rankable. 38 is definitely rankable. So this is definitely a product that you could potentially target. There's one on page 1 with 14 reviews. This is clearly somebody that's just kind of sourced this well because they only have 14 left in stock, so they're probably relatively new. So it looks like somebody identified this as a profitable product here and went ahead and got it sourced. So let's check their listing, see if they obviously. So they have keywords on their listing. They have a bunch of product pictures. They actually have the #1 new release badge in grill lighting. So that's something to keep in mind. That will obviously increase their conversion rates. And it looks like, they have 5 out of 5, so they just got their first 14 reviews. Now, clearly you can run the Jungle Scout extension on here, and it will tell you the sales velocity. So this person just launched recently, obviously. They only have 14 reviews. They're already ranked 6,000 in patio and lawn, and they're selling about 182 units of these a month with an estimated revenue of about $4,084. Now, obviously, that's before the cost to source it, but maybe it only cost them $500, to about like $600-700 to source as many products as that 182. So probably a lot less than that, actually, like maybe 300. But that's something to keep in mind. So realistically, they're probably earning about $4,000 a month just on this product alone. So that's something to keep in mind and important to understand, and that's why there's so much power here. But also, like I touched on before, you can run the Jungle Scout extension on the main page with the main and the broadest keyword, and that will allow you to see the sales velocity for everyone. So obviously, the very first guy is he has 1,300 sales a month, making almost 60. This dude's got 18, so on and so forth, and you get the picture. So it's good to kind of do this on the main page because you can see, how many reviews there are and whether or not you feel like that's rankable, and kind of look down this page, because this is literally just the Jungle Scout version of the page and their earnings, as well as all the prices back to back. That's something to keep in mind. And on top of that, what you're really paying attention to is the revenue. So if it's high revenue, but it's rankable, and this is definitely rankable because everybody on this first page is earning, in the tens of thousands. And there's a 92 on the first page, there's a 15, a 38, a 14, a 65, a 20 on the first page. Definitely rankable. You can get your product, you can slap this product together, get it manufactured, put it on Amazon, get 50 reviews in the first month or two. And then your product potentially, if you're selling under that keyword, will rank all the way up to the first page, and you can be entitled to about, what's the worst guy doing here? The worst guy on this first page looks to be doing 4,000, which was that person that we checked out. Looks to be selling about 4,000 a month. So even the worst guy on page 1 with 14 reviews is still making $4,000 a month just on this product alone. So this is actually a pretty solid product, and one that I'm going to actually pay attention to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to X out of this. I'm going to go back and I'm going to add this to my product tracker as well. Now I'm going to end this lecture here, and then we're going to keep moving down the list, and I'm going to go through a couple more examples for you so you kind of get the picture and the full effect of what actually is a good product and what is a bad one. And I'll try to find a bad example for you as well too.